Imagine staying awake for 24 hours. Not much of a challenge, is it? Imagine then staying awake for 24 hours whilst riding a bike. Gets a little tougher. Imagine then staying awake for 24 hours whilst riding a bike down stuff like this.
Whoa! I'm stuffed. I've got to try and get back by 11.
Welcome to the Adventure Show.
I'm just so sore.
Sore or not, there's a distinct mountain theme in this month's Adventure Show as we head off to Glencoe to discover there's more to a day in the hills than just getting to the summit. At Craigmeggie, we find out how and why this National Nature Reserve has been so successful in managing their deer. And there's a winter scramble to illustrate some of the things on offer at the current Fort William Mountain Festival. But first, that 24-hour mountain bike marathon, the Strathpuffer 24. It's Britain's toughest, and this time last year I was cajoled into joining the Adventure Show team with fellow presenter Duncan McCallum. Then there were 4 of us, and leading our assault was Nikki Wright.
I can see a light at the end of the tunnel.
This was the inaugural event, but it immediately established itself right at the top of the race calendar.
It's a long event, you know, and you don't want to rattle around it too quick. The race proper doesn't actually begin till about 4 a.m.
It's really, really boggy, and it's just like porridge. And you're just pedalling in low gears and you're not getting anywhere, so it's really hard.
I've just been passed on the uphill by somebody who's probably doing 15 to 20 miles an hour. Extraordinary.
It's weird at night. Your sense of perspective goes all over the place. And on this run, the moon has obviously gone behind a cloud. So it's not quite so bright. I actually lost my concentration so much I don't know where I am in the course. Can't think where I am.
Here we go, here we go.
It's been a long hard night and I'm on my way over.
This year, we've upped the odds and entered a team of just 2. Well, I've done my bit, so Nikki's been joined by fellow BBC presenter Lindsay Cannon. And with this magnificent example of all girl power, Lindsay is getting down to some serious training. This is her story, and it's a painful one.
I've never entered a race of any description really in my adult life. And then it was implied that perhaps I didn't have a sense of adventure, and that was it. So this will be the first time that I've been round the course proper. Quick fuel stop here. I'm on my second lap. Front brakes, I've lost them. Took a bit of a fall down a steep section. I think this is going to be a bit harder than I thought.
92 to 95 FM and 810 medium wave. This is BBC Radio Scotland.
The news for the Highlands and Islands with Lindsay Cannon. Good afternoon. A call centre company which employs...
Last year, nearly 300 hardy souls volunteered for the Strathpuffer 24. This time, over 400 have put themselves on the firing line. And like everyone else, Lindsay's fitting in her training round the day job.
I think she's absolutely bonkers. She's a feisty lady and I'm sure she will do her best to complete it, but that's a heck of a challenge.
100% full on most of the time. She's one of those girls that puts us all to shame.
I don't think you ever see her sitting still for any length of time, so yeah, I think sort of sitting on a bike for a long time in constant movement is probably the best thing for her.
I think she'll have the mental capacity to do it. I really think she will. Whether the bones and the muscles will stand up to it for 24 hours, well, you know, let's just wait and see.
It's another horrible wet day. I'm out with my mate Carl, who's a mountain bike instructor, so that's handy.
It's one of the most difficult mountain bike events, I think, on the calendar, but a 24-hour overnight.
That's good.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
I'm actually shaking.
Okay, just keep going with it. Great. Get the power on, hang your back over. That's it, aim for me now, aim for me. Keep going, go to the right, that's good. Good.
I'm out for the first time with teammate Nikki, who's a very experienced mountain biker, and so Nikki, some top tips.
What we didn't think about is actually just riding on our feet on the way down here. The reason we do that is because we actually get the centre of gravity much lower. Demonstrate that. If I ride on my seat, the centre of gravity is quite high. I try and do the balancing quite awkward around my body. If I ride on my feet, you get the balance way more around. Go slower than you think you should be, and then just feel what it feels like to go round.
That was better. Woo! Finally starting to enjoy this more technical mountain biking. Things are looking up, and it makes a huge difference when you've got somebody who actually really enjoys doing this sort of thing, encouraging you to go for it. Excellent, another first. Lindsay, have you ever got one pair of wellies? We're about to go on what will be my first night ride, and given that there are 17 hours of darkness in the event, I should probably have been doing this before now. Go away. I'm just giving up the training for a minute. I'm just having a quick glass of wine and you haven't opened the shutter, so I've just come outside to have 1 minute. It's hot money. Go away. So what would your top tip to me be for the race?
Don't forget your bike. Or your lights.
Thinking about being very efficient with your gearing and keeping your cadence up. It's the rotation of the feet on the pedals.
That was really grim. And I feel sort of mentally destroyed. Nikki and I have just done a circuit, 2 circuits of the race. And I had thought that when I went round the track today that I was going to feel a bit better about things, that I would feel a bit fitter. And I don't feel fitter at all. It's absolutely soul destroying.
You're doing great. You're doing fantastically. You don't realise it, but you're talking on the way round. So actually you've still got a lot of energy there. And you're coping fine, and you're smiling, and you're giggling. You're not doing as badly as you think.
In the year since I rode the Strathpuffer, there's been some changes to the course. They're meant to make it better. Duncan McCallum, who last year found out it was all a little too much for him, is off to try it out with race organiser Steve MacDonald.
So Steve, I see you've let me borrow your old bike out there, and you've got some special race machine here.
Yes, I've got the perfect bike for the Strathpuffer. It's very, very simple. There's nothing to go wrong. It doesn't have any gears. Won't be affected by mud or ice or snow or anything else that the elements will throw at us. So let's go and do it. This year it's the tougher puffer. Really because there's no moon.
Yeah.
The weather's not very nice. We didn't plan it this way, but I think somebody up there was listening to us.
Well, at least last year we didn't have to contend with this horrific wind. I hope it slows down a wee bit.
I hope it does.
It's got a good surface here though.
It's a lovely surface. It's held up well.
This is going to be an amazing race this year. There's more people, the course is far more technical. There's a lot of little drainage ruts in the track that you've got to manual over, which is lift the front of your bike up. If you hit them every single time you go round, you're going to get really tired hands and tired arms. I think I've got the wrong line. Straight into the mud hole. So that whole section with all the rock pitching back there, all the straight top slabs.
That's all brand new.
All new.
The bridge was finished yesterday. All brand new.
You know, in the middle of the night, this is going to be a real head mess.
It is really, yes.
It can be really jangly.
I think there might be 1 or 2 people might walk it, but it's just wide enough to ride over. And if you're very careful, you won't fall in the stream. Some people might ride over the top of the rails.
Yeah, off you go. Why are we stopping here?
We've got to put the ducks out.
I thought they were banana guards, but obviously not.
No. Competitors can collect ducks one at a time.
Chuck a couple over.
Bring them in.
Whoops. I don't
and they might get a spot prize if their number gets the number on the bottom of the duck.
So not only is this the most northerly 24-hour race, is that right?
It is the most northerly 24-hour race.
The longest night ride race.
17 hours of darkness.
But also picking up plastic ducks. The serious boys won't be stopping, will they?
Oh, I think the serious boys will be very keen on a prize.
So is there something peculiar about Scottish mountain bikers that they want to suffer like this?
Well, we live here.
Yes.
That's a start.
Well, I must say, that does bring back a few memories, but I think they've got a big challenge this year. It's extremely wet, and the very fast descent we had coming down almost to the end last year was dry, and you could hammer it, even at night. But this year it's full of little ruts, and the bike slips away, and it's quite sketchy. Oh, this looks deep. It's not that bad. Well, I must say, I really enjoyed that. It's a great course, lots of new stuff in it, it's great fun. However, it might well be a different story at 3 in the morning when there's only 2 of you. Good luck, ladies.
Just one more full night of sleep, and Lindsay is getting plenty of advice.
What we have got is a chain tool, so we can actually just teach you how to use it.
Are you bolted into your feet? Are you
No,
flat pedals?
no, I've just flat pedals.
Yeah, no,
it's all
I
I've ever tried.
Yeah, it's not the stage to actually flip in at this stage, not when she's just beginning.
And of course, I put in my tuppence worth too.
Mr. Vipond gave me some top tips. He said, count trees, he said. Count trees and, some music, he said. That was good, yeah. And he told me I just had to ride the steps and let it flow and let it roll.
It sounds like I know what I'm talking about, doesn't it? And we'll be back in just a few minutes to find out how useful that advice actually is. But now we're off to Glencoe to join Nick Kemp and Mark Wrightham, the co-editors of a mountain guidebook which takes a holistic approach to your day in the hills, with chapters on geology, climate, vegetation, invertebrates, birds and mammals. Hostile Habitats took the editors 10 years to complete, but has proved an instant success.
There are loads of books around about that are effectively route descriptions, guidebooks as to how to get up onto the hills and how to climb on the crags. But there isn't so much information available about the wider mountain environment itself.
I got interested in this really partly thinking about, particularly on the mountain tops, which mountaineers are interested in, is how on earth do things survive in there, up there. We go for short periods, and on a day like this we probably don't want to be there at all, and yet there are birds that survive up there in the most appalling conditions, birds like the ptarmigan, but also these plants. How do they survive all this freezing, being covered by snow, the constant wind and so on?
Yes, quite often the most interesting plants that you see on the hill are not so much the obviously visually attractive things, which are also the things that a lot of conventional ID guides tend to zero in on. It's often the things that tell you most about what's actually going on the hill. They tell you something about processes that are taking place in the mountain environment. It's like taking the pulse of the mountain environment in a way. And this is a prime example of that sort of plant. This is mat grass, and it becomes very dominant in the Scottish mountains in very specific circumstances. Particularly when there's a lot of grazing pressure at low altitudes on fairly shallow peaty soils. It tends to become very abundant, and it's quite a good sign of sustained grazing pressure in those situations. But in different circumstances it also becomes very dominant as well. You'll notice very often when you're high up on a rolling plateau where there are exposed brows where the wind whips across, and sheltered pockets where a little peat can accumulate, where snow tends to lie. You tend to get areas there where there are patches of mat grass picking out the areas where snow lies longer.
I'd been thinking about doing a book on Scotland's mountain environment, and I'm a lay person and I'm not an expert on anything, but I came climbing here with Mark in 1997 and he thought it was a good idea. So we then decided that one of the most important things in terms of the book was to ensure that it had to be accessible to hill walkers, so we deliberately wanted to choose all our authors were going to be people who came up into the mountains, so they're all hill walkers and climbers.
One of those authors is Stuart Benn. Originally from Glasgow, Stuart now works for the RSPB, so he was a natural choice to write the chapter on mountain birds.
I was brought up in the middle of Glasgow, and like many folk before me, I could look out and see the Campsies, and at the first opportunity I was out there, and then you get to the Campsies and you look northward and you see the Arrochar Hills and then Lomond, and at the first opportunity I was getting the bus and the train out of Glasgow. I've been very lucky. I've seen lots of ptarmigan, I've seen lots of golden eagles, and I enjoy seeing them as much now as the first time I saw it. And if I can get a bit of that to rub off on other folk and they can enjoy it as much as I have, I'll be very happy.
There's a tendency, I think, for people who specialise in particular areas to just work within their own specialist niche, and to actually bring a whole team of people together and try and work across all of those boundaries and put together a more holistic picture of the mountain environment is something which I certainly found very, very interesting, to have a chance to have an insight into other people's specialist areas and develop a bit more understanding of those.
Hostile Habitats is published by the Scottish Mountaineering Trust and costs £15 and is in shops now. Race day, and the weather's not let up. Last night it was very wet. Bad news for some hopeful competitors, but not for everyone.
Do you have a dry night?
Well, actually, we stayed in bed and breakfast at home tonight.
Look, we've got everything, fires, tents, gazebo, it works. Gents, this looks like one of the most organised tents around. How have you managed this? Generator.
Arrived last Wednesday. We've got a carpet inside our tent.
I can smell bacon, that's good.
Yep.
Do you know there's only 39 women and 390 men?
Really?
Yeah.
Look out, Kev, you're in
trouble. So the team name is?
Team Snail.
Team Snail.
We'll get there in the end. iPlod is the team name. iPlod.
The course itself starts at the Forestry Commission Scotland car park just outside Conton. It's 11 kilometres in length with a total of 326 metres of ascent and descent through woodland and open moor. The fastest will complete it in under 45 minutes, and the slowest, well, lots longer. And this is how it looks as they're piped to the start. 81 teams of 4, 27 pairs and 32 solo riders. And all are about to begin the toughest bike race in the UK.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good luck indeed. Despite the improvements, the weeks of non-stop rain mean the course will be even more treacherous than last year.
You okay?
You okay?
I'm okay. Take a good photograph. What a beauty, did you get that? That's one for BBC.
But our team and Nikki are off to a good start.
People say I'm mad, but I just remember saying, do I want to do it again? And immediately I thought, yeah, I want to do it again. And seeing it again now, I mean, they've done a lot of work to the trail and it is superb. There's so much variety in it, you know, it's just a joy to ride. Yeah. It's just keeping going now. It's 12 hours really, essentially, of riding as opposed to what I was doing last time, which I was supported by a team, you know, 3 other buddies in my little team, but now it's just 1 other buddy in my team. So it's going to be a challenge for me. I mean, I like my sleep, so I don't know what I'm going to be like. I could be quite grumpy in the morning.
Nikki and I have known each other for years, but we've never actually done any outdoor stuff together, which is kind of bizarre. She is really fit. I mean, she's ultra fit. She's just like, you know, on a different level from everyone else.
Let's go now. It's really good.
She's lean and mean in a cycling machine. That's how I describe Nikki. You know, people said, don't worry, because Nikki will do, you know, extra laps and she'll pull everything together. But I don't want it to be that way because it should be 50-50.
Nikki and Lindsay have opted to do 2 consecutive laps each during the short daylight hours. And already, just a couple of hours into the race, it's getting grim. Rona McLeod's at the top of the course and happy to be a spectator.
So this is such a hard part of the course. It's just after the summit. Her legs are really, really tired.
Oh, yeah.
Are you enjoying yourself? This is the best solution here for some of the riders because they're having to deal with the mud, but also just look over there, look at the size of those rocks and then the big troughs which are filled with water. So a lot of them are getting off, running through, a lot of them are falling off, but some of them are so good they're just powering straight through here. Big difference in abilities.
But there's relief from the hard work as the riders find those ducks scattered in the pond.
I'm going to get a duck. It's not all about winning.
Now, although this event takes place in the middle of winter on very, very exposed terrain all through the night, and there are some risks of hypothermia, broken bones, concussions, the organisers do say it's a very, very safe event.
And the verdict from the riders?
Very muddy, very sloppy, but good fun.
And you're in a team of?
One.
A team of one?
No friends, just me. Number 15.
Good
luck. You see me crying, don't take any pictures.
Lost my brake pads.
Ah.
I had them at the bottom of the hill. I got to the top of the hill, they weren't there.
So you had a front brake and no rear brake?
Yeah, that's right.
I'll have a minute and then I'll speak to you.
Is it that bad?
And that's not good news for Lindsay as she prepares to take over from Nikki. The reality of what she's about to take on has finally dawned, and nerves are getting the better of her.
I couldn't find my sleeping bag. I couldn't find my watch. Couldn't find my favourite black bra. I don't know where it is. I've even been under the car seats looking for it and I can't find it. I just want to get going.
You look petrified.
Well done, girl. How was it? It's good. You can move through the hills. You can move through the
gosh.
How is it?
It's really technical, which is great because that's the bits where you can get past people. I'm struggling on the hills, but some of the pits, some of the holes are getting quite deep.
Already?
Yeah, so you've got to work out which is the best line and then...
And did you ride all of it or did you walk a wee bit?
No, I rode it all.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. And
And
I got my duck. Yeah,
What,
I got my duck.
Out on the course, there's plenty of action, but Lindsay's settling into the saddle.
It's been great. This is the first time I've had a problem.
Yeah, she's really great. She's so determined. She's someone who just doesn't back down from anything. A challenge and she just rises to it. She's fantastic. She's like a bulldog, really.
So it's now 12 noon and it's horrible. If it continues like this for the rest of the day, it's going to be a pretty miserable experience, and people are going to suffer from cold. If they get very warm and then cold again, there's risk of hypothermia. So now is the time to start making sure you're good for the rest of the day.
One improvement to our team this year is the support of 3 helpers. In charge of the bikes are Dave McLeod and Derek Hallam, and Mavis Patterson's here to look after Nikki and Lindsay. Her role will be vital.
Make sure that they stay sane during the night and eat plenty and they keep warm.
So the plan is you're not going to sleep at all?
Oh, no. No, I won't sleep. No, I'll just make sure there's a nice hot water bottle, hot towels when they come in wet and soaking.
Great.
Bedraggled, not wanting to go back out again. I'll push them out the door.
How was that?
It's fantastic.
Yeah?
It's great. Can't believe it. They're up the first hill. 3 people overtook me and I thought I felt so down. Down the first part of single track, 2 guys can't go over the log pile and I just sailed over it and they're pushing their bikes over. It's great.
Excellent.
Everybody's really friendly. The atmosphere is fantastic. Rode all the technical sections, even the bridge. I never stopped.
Yeah, just take care, but that sounds fantastic. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go on, Hen. Off you go.
Great. Thanks, Duncan.
She was so nervous before she went out. She was shaking. And we expected her back about 1:05, 5:01. That is fantastic. I mean, the adrenaline helped. I said, the more excited you are before you go, the better you'll do. She said, don't talk rubbish. But she's done it.
Nikki's done 2 laps, Lindsay's on her second, but they're only a quarter of the way into the race, and the hardest part is still to come.
Can't see you. No, it's really good. Really good atmosphere.
Strong?
Yeah, there's guys up there. I mean, I'm covered in mud and there's people shouting, "Go for it, Lindsay!" And I'm thinking, "Oh, heck, they know it's me." I mean, they can't even see me. One guy says, "It's the adventure show bloke." It's just so much mud. It's getting really slimy.
It may be hard for the riders, but it's the ultimate test for their bikes. Good news then that in the run-up to the race, Lindsay got hold of a purpose-built machine. And to find that perfect set of wheels, she enlisted the help of expert Richard Drummond, which is just as well.
What am I going to need to stand the remotest chance of completing the Strathpuffer?
Ideally, you're looking for a bike that's going to be reliable. In a 24-hour race, you're not looking at out-and-out speed. You're wanting something that's going to work.
It's got to last the pace, basically.
Got to last 24 hours and be still rolling at the end of it. This is a 4-inch race bike. It's lightweight, it's torsionally very stiff. The cockpit and the top tube are quite long. It has rear suspension, which allows the wheel to move vertically 4 inches. And you have the same at the front, a lot more obvious in the front because you've got your fork stanchion and it can be seen.
Yeah, so if I push down, you can see the suspension there. So the long and short of it is that this is a pretty high-tech, expensive bike, and it is going to help me get round.
Hopefully. The first thing we're going to do is get you on the bike, we'll adjust the saddle to get the correct length.
Okay.
And then we'll set up your suspension, okay?
Right. This bit's easy so far.
Right, if you want to jump off again, I'm going to bring the saddle up ever so slightly.
So you're bringing it up, Richard?
Yeah, trying to get it slightly higher will give you a more efficient pedalling position.
Blimey, I could hardly reach the pedals there.
Okay, Lindsay, if you want to hop on again.
Oh, it's like climbing onto a high horse.
Next stage, we're going to set up your suspension. Generally, on a race type bike like this, you would run with 20% sag. So
you're losing me, Richard. You're losing me.
your sag allows it to drop into bumps. Ideally, you want your suspension to work as one.
Yeah.
If the front and back are working at different speeds and different, yeah, it starts to get like a hobby horse and rocks back and forward.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to confuse you completely and start talking about.
You confused me ages ago.
Start talking about rebound. Suspension compresses. Okay.
Yep.
The speed it comes back is called rebound. If your rebound's too slow, if you think of going down a road with a series of bumps, you'll take one hit, it won't have extended, you'll hit again.
So it's not recovering?
It's not recovered before the next hit.
Okay.
So this is what's called pack down. So it can happen with the front, it can happen with the rear.
My eyes are crossing. Okay, so we've got rebound and pack down and sag sorted.
Yeah.
If I'm going to give this bike a hard time, I'm quite intrigued to know how much it costs.
This would retail at about £3,500.
Ooh!
So look after it.
Nice bike. 3.5 grand.
We'll be back with the Strathpuffer 24 shortly, but in the meantime we're off south of Inverness to explore a very special landscape and a conservation success story.
One of the great things about being in the Scottish Hills is the range of landscapes that you can see in a day. Now, while I need a big rucksack filled with equipment to help me survive, from lochside to mountaintop, the creatures who are already here are perfectly adapted for their own environment. And what better place to see that than here at Craig Maggie National Nature Reserve.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hi, how you doing?
Nice to see you.
And you,
well,
and you. Yeah.
So, what do we have in store for us today?
Well, a bit of snow, that's for sure.
I think so.
But yeah, I mean, we're going to walk up this path in front of us and then just gently making our way into the quarry.
Apart from Craig Maggie obviously being a wonderful mountain to climb, regeneration is very important here, isn't it?
To us, the woodland is Craig Maggie. Once upon a time, it would have been wooded, and with the wood growing and maturing, the animals that have disappeared are now returning. When we first came here about 20 years ago, when the reserve opened, there were precious few small trees, and so to see things like this was a great triumph for us. Now, interestingly, some of these little trees were already here. It was a question that they were munched away into the heather, and we really couldn't see them. Now these are beginning to mature, they're setting their own seed, so you have a third class of regrowth.
One thing that I've noticed when we've been coming up the path, there's no deer fences.
Isn't that nice? We decided that red deer and fencing could go hand in hand. And many people said to us, hey, wait a minute, you can't do that. Why not chuck a fence up? Well, first of all, walkers, particularly with families and so on, you come across an 8-foot high fence and it's horrendous to get over. In conditions like this, it isn't long before the fence falls down. You may find a deer go into them and they're the devil to get them out. So we wanted a more natural situation between red deer and woodland.
So how do you stop deer from other parts coming in as well? You're keeping your deer under control, but what about deer from other estates?
People surrounding here were very worried that red deer would be roaming the hills and moving into areas where the feed was good or there was shelter. And collared deer, just to see, very, very few animals were leaving their home patch, if you like, and wandering into places like this. The females would be here, this would be their patch, and this is where they would calve. And the stags would rove in and rove out. So in the end, there was no so-called vacuum effect. As we go up the hill, we are passing through a landscape of bogs and dry heath, wet ground, up into the high alpine grasslands, and then finally at over 3,500 feet, the Arctic zone, the very top of this mountain.
So I think this looks like the last of the trees here. The environment's definitely changing.
Well, more sensibly than us. Here we are at about 600 meters. Yeah, you're right, it is Arctic.
So I'm going to go into my bag here because I have another layer that I can put on to keep me cozy. But what about the animals that are living here? How do they actually survive this?
The most mountainous of animals up here is the ptarmigan, and it's a bird that lives here all year round in the summer and now in this wintry Arctic blow. It has feathered feet. Indeed, it's called the polar bear of the feathered world. The other animal that's up here is the mountain hare, and it has 3 molts in 1 year. So you'll see it in its brown phase in the summer, then you'll see it in a sort of brown grey phase as autumn comes in, and then as everyone knows it, it becomes white in the winter.
And you can find out more about Craigmeggie National Nature Reserve by visiting Scottish Natural Heritage's website at nnr-scotland.org.uk. Nighttime at the Strathpuffer, and the course is beginning to take its toll. And no one's in any doubt that the 2007 Strathpuffer really is the tougher puffer.
This is the hardest race I've ever done. I'm scared now, going out for three laps now.
The course is getting really cut up now, it's really muddy.
Holes that deep, they're full of water. You don't know there's a hole there, your front wheel goes in it, you go over.
It's snowing up on the other bit at the moment and it's really cold now, but yeah, lots of fun.
Every year we're impressed by the stamina of the teams and the grit they show to keep going, especially this year because the weather's been absolutely against them. Who else do a race 24 hours in the Highlands in winter? It's all a bit mad, but everyone seems to enjoy it.
No breaks at all!
And everyone just seems to get on with it and everyone helps each other.
I get to points when I'm going, this is stupid, why am I doing this? And then there's other bits where I go, because there's a really good feeling when it's over. Tomorrow morning I'll be able to just climb into a sleeping bag. I won't be clean because we haven't got a shower, but at least I will have some dry clothes on and it'll be alright.
Well, let's hope so. Right now, that time is a long way off. Our team have decided that each of them will do 3 consecutive laps during the night time. Lindsay is now out for the 3rd time. As the night deepens, she's battling to keep going.
She really struggled. I mean, a real squall came through, knocked her off her bike 3 times, a real windy gust. We missed her on the way down the first time round. She was hoping to pick up jelly babies. And I think if you don't have the jelly babies, it's a bit of a downer. It's hard out there now, it's really a struggle, and she hasn't had the time to develop the endurance, really.
Oh, it's pretty grim, really. The second I'm on my 3rd circuit, I got all the way back to the crossover point and down the single track and my lights went. So I've had to come all the way back. I hit a dip and I fell straight off the bike, went into a foot of water in a ditch and hit a rock. But I just need to quickly sort these lights out, otherwise I'm not going to be able to go again because I'm getting so cold.
Back to our base camp, a borrowed motorhome, there's some very good news.
Nikki's going out, Lindsay. Are you going to go? Are you sure? Are you ready to go? But at the moment I'm actually really pleased that Nikki's gone out now that the lights have failed, because I am absolutely chilled to the bone. I'm just so cold because it was snowing up there, and just the wind is chill coming back down just now. I am just absolutely freezing. So what are you going to do, 2 or 3?
I'll try and do 3, okay?
Okay.
I'm not going to go fast.
No, just do it.
I'll just plod along, all right?
It is absolutely getting worse and worse up there. Okay.
Okay, see you then. Take care.
Halfway through the race, 12 hours gone, 12 hours still to go, and our team's not the only one with problems.
Split the rims on both wheels of one bike. We've got no disc brakes on the other bike, so we finished off using my feet as brakes halfway around the course.
It's now the stage where we're actually walking down the hills rather than riding down them, just to save the brake pad so we can keep going for a wee bit longer.
I broke my main bike on the 3rd lap, so we're away to see if the mechanics can fix it now.
Neil Walker's one of the 32 bikers riding this course on his own. With these guys, there's absolutely no respite.
It's been pretty tough. My 10th lap was a really low point for me. I was close to just jacking it all in then, but when I got back to the end of the lap and my support crew were there and everyone was in the caravan kind of geeing me up a little bit and told me my position, so it's hard to give up when you've got all those people there helping you.
Cold and wet and miserable and questioning why, and then it's forcing yourself away from the sort of really warm tent and your hot coffee and just getting out and starting another one.
So it's 2:30 in the morning. There are 7.5 hours left of this race. And over here we can see all these lamps bobbing and weaving. They're twinkling as they're coming down this hill. We're standing in the middle of a really dark, spooky wood. It is so dark, you wouldn't believe it. Here we're about a mile from the finish, and just over there is just the steepest, muddiest, rockiest descent, and the trees are about that far apart. It is absolutely treacherous. I have to say, I think these guys are absolutely bonkers at this stage. Their legs are burning, they are exhausted.
And at the top of the course, Nikki's now on her 3rd lap in the dark, but still they pedal.
Yeah, I feel pretty rough, but I want to try and keep positive. Went in a hole, went a different way. It's a lot worse. I'm suffering, but I've got music on, so that helps. It's a bit of a salsa going on at the moment. Yeah, it's going to be a struggle at the end, I think. It is hard, but I quite like it like that. Yeah, must be mad, mustn't I?
Yes, absolutely, totally, 100% crazy. And that goes for Lindsay too. It's almost time for her to hit the pedals again.
As you're going on through your 2 and 3 circuits, are you finding it's getting much, much tougher?
What I have found is that the thought of going out again just now to do another 3 circuits, which is maybe going to take me about 4.5 hours, and that up there, I find that if it's 2 circuits, then your first circuit is your first one and your second one is your last one. And trying to do the 3 last time, which I didn't actually finish, but mentally I was still going on before my lights failed, that's really hard, because doing the middle one, I just felt I was going nowhere. I'm going to try and do 3, but if I'm, if I'm completely done after 2.
You do 2, just don't do it too
Somebody else
fast.
come and make a bit of space.
So well done you.
Crossed that line there, you had a huge smile on your face.
Yes, because we're here. Going up there is a real grimace.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to walk it. It's just impossible bits of it now. Deep, deep, deep. It's all slurry and mud, knackering.
There's so much mud on my gears that everything's screaming, so I was just trying to get some of it off. Oh, this is desperate.
Now, one of the most difficult, most demoralising parts of this race must surely be the loneliness that these riders are feeling. It's pitch black. They go for long, long spells without seeing anyone else. They must feel like they're the only person in the world at this point. But they are desperately looking ahead of them to see if they can see a red taillight, just to show that there's somebody else out here. Well, it's now 4:10 and we're a little bit concerned about Lindsay. We found out that during that last lap that she had trouble with her lamps again. They failed again just up at the summit. So she decided to come back down the safer road that she'd just been on rather than... Oh, is that her? Lindsay? Is that you, Lindsay?
Yeah.
So you've had another nightmare?
When I left you the last time,
yeah,
got all the way up the hill and lights went. I had to go all the way back again. And this set have gone.
Oh.
So all I'm getting is like a flashing beam.
Yep.
So I've had to push all that technical
nightmare.
section. That's the bit I really enjoy because it's a home run. You think I'm going downhill now and that's it.
So the riders grind on round and round the mud, rocks and trees. And as both people and machines start to feel the effects of the driving rain, sleet and snow, we're heading west to Fort William. Lochaber now claims to be the outdoor capital of the UK, and every year more than 3,000 people celebrate our wild places at the Fort William Mountain Festival. This year it's even bigger and better than before, with 2 weeks of theatre, music, exhibitions, talks and films.
Mike, it looks as though we're in luck with the weather. It's clearing.
Looking good, isn't it? Yep.
Duncan McCallum's joined festival organisers Mike Pescott and Ali Berardelli to find out more about what's on offer at this year's Mountain Fest and how they managed to bring so many folk in off the hills.
It's all mostly evening events, so that people are out during the day skiing, biking, paddling, walking, climbing. And you see in the audience in the evening, they're all kind of ruddy-faced, you know, from the wind and the exertion during the day. And then just come together and share what they've been doing and see what other people have been doing and filming and writing about.
And perhaps one of the most interesting things that's been growing over the years, this is the 6th year the festival's been running, is the connection that we've got to the Banff Mountain Festival in Canada, and we actually have an evening dedicated to the Banff World Tour films.
My favourite one of the programme would be Jimmy Marshall and Yvonne Schoonard, because you know they were the founders of really modern technical Scottish mountaineering.
I'm not sure they've actually been together and presented an evening like that ever, and this will probably be one of the last opportunities to do it. And it's on the 50th anniversary of Hamish's first descent of Zero Gully, so we thought, well, we've got to celebrate this somehow, you know, we've got to get him out onto the stage.
So apart from the evening stuff, which is going to be the shows and the lectures and the films, there's also some practical stuff going on a little bit as well.
We've got mountaineering workshops, we've got winter walking skills workshops for people with summer walking skills. Want to learn how to use ice axes and crampons, come out for a single day, just for an insight into how it all works. Plus the winter climbing as well.
So is this why we've dragged Ali out of the office today then?
This is why she's here.
It's definitely my first time on the hill doing any ice climbing at all, so it's quite an experience for me.
Thought we might got the wee groove here.
Oh, that sounds
all right?
great. Yeah.
Happy with that, all right?
Yeah.
Great. It's a bit hands-on, a bit using your ice axe, a bit of everything really. This is lovely. Great bits of turf to get you picking there.
It's such a fantastic place. It really is.
It's easy to live here and take it for granted. So you see them, you see the mountains, but you maybe don't think about them really as much as you should. It looks good. I think I'll enjoy this.
Woohoo! Okay, Ali, on you come.
Right.
Little short steps so you can manage it.
Yeah. Living here, you look at these mountains every day, but it's not until you do something like this to see it close up, just to see how wonderful it really is.
Woohoo! That's it. Big step at the top. Real.
Great.
And the festival has another success story, encouraging more outdoor enthusiasts to try their hand at making films.
This is the second year we've run a film competition, and we get quite a few entries from folks around here, from young folks, just going out with a camera and making a film. And there are some resources to edit it quite nicely, put some sound onto it, and put it into a major competition.
Okay, Ali, when you're ready.
Okay.
It's great to go out to the environment, shoot your film, but try and have an idea about what you want to say with that film. So do a bit of preparation, do a bit of storyboarding, and then go out, take it back and see what you've got at the end of it.
The best films we've seen entered in this competition do tell a story, with a start, middle, and end, and we're taken on a journey throughout the film, which is great to see. The exciting bit is doing big jumps on your bike or climbing, paddling, whatever it is, but it's got to tell a story throughout the film as well.
Hey!
Fantastic, well done.
Oh,
And you just cleared perfectly, look at that.
I've thoroughly enjoyed that, Mike. Thanks very much.
You can find out more details about the Fort William Mountain Festival by logging on to mountainfestival.co.uk. Here on the Adventure Show, we aim to bring you the very best information about outdoor equipment and clothing. And there's no better person to advise us than long-distance walker and gear expert Chris Townsend.
Chris, you've been on the Adventure Show many times reviewing different bits of equipment. Towards the end of the summer we looked at soft shells, but in the depth of winter when it gets really kind of brisk and raw, let's talk a bit about outerwear, jackets in particular, and what maybe we should be taking out into the hills in Scotland.
The ideal thing to wear is an insulated jacket. There's two choices of insulation. There's down, which I see you're wearing today, which is great in weather like this. As long as it's really cold and dry, down is fantastic. Synthetic insulation's not quite as warm, but for Scotland and our wet conditions, ideal, because it doesn't matter if you get them wet.
Here's, let's have a look at the first one here. This is one by Paramo, and it's quite a big jacket and thick jacket.
It's quite bulky, it's got thick insulation inside, quite a thick outer as well. This is what these days is called a belay jacket. The idea being, you put this on if you're belaying on a climb, if you stop for lunch on a summit and it's cold, and it's designed to be worn over everything else, even your waterproofs. There's one thing I don't like so much about this jacket, and that's the fact it's a smock, which means you've got to put it over your head, which in a howling gale on a summit can be difficult. It's a nice garment, I'd rather see a full-length strip.
Talking about smocks, the jacket you're wearing there appears to be a smock, but that's one you put on in the car park, I guess.
Yes, this is a much thinner jacket. It's got much lighter insulation. Nothing like as warm as this. If it was, I'd be far too hot by the time we walked up here. But the good thing about this is you can wear it underneath another jacket or on its own. It's very, very light and small packing, and it replaces a fleece.
And warmer than a soft shell as well.
Oh, much warmer than a soft shell.
Now, you know how much I like colour. You've got one that's a bit of a shocker.
Yep. See what you think of this.
Oh my goodness. Patagonia.
Now this is actually another smock. So you can see smocks are popular for this type of garment. This really is in between the two we've looked at already. It's a bit thicker than this one, but it's not as thick and bulky as the Paramo one. The only thing with this one is it doesn't have the lower hand warmer pockets, which I would certainly miss. You know, when it's cold, it's nice to have pockets to stick your hands in to keep them warm.
So from that to another dark coloured one. This is a rab jacket with the full zip in this one. And what's your thoughts on this? A hood again?
Well, this is actually a jacket, which is great. It's got a nice hood. You've got the ventilation of the full jacket. This one's also got nice big hand warmer pockets, adjustable cuffs. Overall, a pretty nice jacket, especially if you want a hood.
Next one up.
This really is, you feel that, as light as you can get.
Oh yeah.
I think that weighs about 250 grams.
Yeah, it's a beauty, isn't it?
This is a Japanese one. The company's called Montbell, which are new in this country. It's similar to the others, but the outer fabric is even lighter, so is the insulation. So again, it's not as warm, but it's a crepe piece because it's so light to carry. You feel a bit chilly, you put it on under your outer jacket, it'll warm you up.
Now, I'm sure I've got another one in here. Yep, I certainly do. This is Mountain Hardwear, and again, a nice sort of light blue.
It is a jacket. It's fairly thin again, so it's not going to be too warm. You can wear it under another layer. Got the hand warmer pockets. It hasn't got a hood again. Otherwise, though, again, this is a fine jacket. It has got the full length zip.
Okay, Chris, if you were to just recap what we should be looking for in an insulated jacket to take on the hills in the winter in Scotland.
The first thing is to decide, are you going to wear it while walking? If it's purely to put on while you're stopped, then the first thing is to look at the thickness and go for the thickest one that's reasonable to carry. However, if you're going to wear it while walking as well, you don't want the thickest one, you'll be too hot, you want one of the thinner ones. Then I would say you want to look at hand warmer pockets. They're so useful. Hoods are optional. If you're going to wear it as an outer jacket and not bother putting a shell over it in a blizzard, then you definitely want a hood. You're going to get snow down your neck.
What about price?
They all run from 80, 100, 120 pounds is the price range, which I think when you look at the prices of soft shell, say, these are a good deal.
Normally we give the gear a score, but all these garments offer great performance. And with Chris's advice, we hope you'll now be able to make the best choice for you. Back at the Strathpuffer, it's 6:15 in the morning, still pitch black, and Nikki's waiting to go out again.
So Nikki, that's less than 4 hours left. So what's the plan now?
I'm going to try to do 2 laps, and then that should leave enough time for Lindsay to do 1.
How is it compared to last year?
It's harder course, I think. It's been the weather and conditions harder, but obviously we've managed to sort of counter that by having a little bit more luxury.
Yeah.
And a lot more planning. And also having the bike mechanics.
What have you thought, Dave? How has it been going?
It's going very well. A bit slower towards the end, but I think they're doing incredibly well.
And from a technical point of view with the bikes, have you been happy? Because they have had a couple of problems, haven't they?
They've had a couple of problems. Best we can do is get the bikes in, give them a good clean, oil them up and get them out again.
As the skies lighten, the end is almost in sight, and with it, a new mood of optimism for most of the riders.
Yo! Yeah, feeling good? This is quite technical with no brakes this bit.
Hard work, but we're on the last lap, so it's nearly finished now.
Whether riding as a soloist or as a member of a team, everyone here has their own personal goals. Just a few weeks before the event, the Hairy Puffers took on a new name and a new objective when they dedicated their entry to the memory of an old friend.
Well, we did the race last year, and one of the team members was a very close friend of mine, and was tragically killed in November in Cairngorm. And we've been riding in Graham's memory, trying to raise money for Cairngorm Mountain Rescue Team.
The thing with Graham was he was always on the go, always active, always trying to get away into the hill any second he got. So
he was definitely the one member of our team who kind of pushed everybody and pushed himself to the max, you know. So it was nice to think about that when we were
definitely
out there crying, shivering, and sweating blood and tears.
And now, with just 90 minutes till the end of the 24 hours, it's time to assess the experience and think about success.
The course is chopped up, like really chopped up, a couple of inches deep in mud. I'm finding it, well, just after that lap, it's pretty hard. I think we're sitting 4th, right. I'm not totally sure. Hopefully after Magnus has gone out, he'll be putting all of us up into 3rd.
Shan, you're the only other women's pairs team who've been competing all night with the Adventure Show lot. Are you still ahead of them?
I think so. I think we're 6th overall. So we're holding it together despite lots of mechanicals and brakes that have gone and punctures and bits of chain ring falling off.
Whoa!
And for Team Adventure Show, the end is in sight.
Detect a slight sense of humour failure at 1 hour to go.
Well, there was a point I was looking for an extra pair of gloves. And you're wearing them. Wonder how that happened.
You gave them to me. There was the pair I left, however, in the van.
Yes, yeah, which were pretty pants. Not sure if I'm going or not. It finishes at 10, it's 9:15. But if you start before 10:15 and get back before 11, and it counts. And certainly the last rounds that I was doing, it was like, I don't know how long I was taking. It was 2 hours anyway because it was so bad. What I don't want to do is set off and put all that effort in and then it doesn't count.
Be careful, yeah? Okay.
Nikki, it's been a long night.
It's over now. Do I look like a bit of a state?
No, I think you look great.
But 1 hour, 45 minutes, if anything goes wrong, that's pushing it, time-wise. So it'll be disappointing for her if we put all that effort in and then not make it.
Nikki's relieved, but Lindsay is just about to hit the wall.
I'm absolutely stuffed. Guess I've got to try and get back by 11.
You do it, don't worry. You're fine.
I'm just so sore.
Go on, you can do it.
I can't even get back on.
And at the end of the race, even the official clock has had enough.
That's it now, the official end, the 24 hours is up. It's been an incredible race. Lindsay's still out there. We're hoping she can get back in by 11 o'clock and that will give her an extra lap.
Oh, just absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly. But I'm not sure if I'm smiling or I'm just hysterical. It'll be fine, it'll be good. I'll be pleased when it's done, I'll be pleased I've done it, but just not right now. Come on. Money. It's muddy, muddy, muddy.
Lindsay's past the halfway point, but she's got less than half an hour to get back, or else all this effort will be in vain.
I just felt absolutely bone tired. How did we do?
We looked like we did 17 laps. When we did 16 laps, we were 10th. So we might go up a place.
Well, you managed it. It's an amazing, amazing effort. Well done.
But when all the times were counted, our team's 17 laps puts them into 10th position, beaten by the Mad Try Girlies, who completed 21 laps to come in 6th. But out in front with 25 laps were Rick Allisop and Alex Glasgow. In the quads, Team Pro Bike Sport completed 28 laps to take 3rd place. The Pudding Mashers managed 29, but taking the 1st place with 2 extra laps are the boys in the buff. And the soloists, Neil Walker's in 3rd position, David Powell's the runner-up, but on his first ever 24-hour marathon, the surprise winner is Alex Slavin.
I knew I was sitting in 3rd most of the night, which I was surprised at anyway. But to come in the last lap and find I pulled it off was that was something else.
And that's it from this month's adventure show. But before we go, a quick update. We've had lots of interest in the young windsurfers we featured in Tiree. So if you want to know more, there's a simple way to find out. Just log on to team15.org.uk. And finally, I have a confession to make. I couldn't make this year's Strathpuffer, otherwise it would be me riding in a pair. But I made a promise. Next year I'll be doing it solo. Yes, that's right, completely and utterly on my own. What am I thinking about? Bye bye.